Hello.
Hello.
Awesome. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Then let's do this. Hyperspace! Hyperspeed. No, wait a minute. It's got to be your bowl. Welcome to Real Nerds. I am Ryan. To my right is always awesome.
Oh, James.
And Brad isn't here because he is really sick, and we didn't want him to infect us with the zombie plague.
Man, when he comes back, it's going to be awesome.
It is. I mean, he
this build-up.
It was. He was telling me he misses the show and that he misses talking about it.
He could listen to it.
He does listen to it. Actually, he said something really kind of funny. He asked me if because me and you haven't put in commercials the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So he's asked me if there's a space in the middle where there's a commercial, and I said, no, we go straight through. He said, oh, good, because I don't like to spoil it. I put in the music at the beginning, and I put it at the end, and then I upload it, and I listen to it when I drive to work. So that's kind of cool that we've enriched somebody's life.
Yeah, I got a pretty good compliment on it, too. A friend of mine said, wow, James, this podcast is really cool. It's kind of like listening to you talk about stuff, but without the obnoxious having to spend time with you thing. So
that's a compliment with a backhand.
It was pretty, yeah.
And you know what? This week we saw a movie that our 5 fans that voted on it asked us to see.
Did they really? Did they really vote?
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because I never actually saw the poll, so I don't think I never voted, but I do know, unless I'm mistaken, the poll that went up was a list of 3 movies, 2 of which didn't come out this week.
I know,
right?
I messed that up. I don't know how I messed that up.
We just weren't paying attention.
Just didn't care.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody picked us to see 30 minutes or less.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, so please stay tuned for our first fan-picked movie that we saw. But before we do that, we should really talk about some real news. Cool. There wasn't a big news week per se.
No.
But one of the things that actually caught my eye that I thought was really kind of disappointing was I read, and this could not be the actual plot for the movie, but I'm a big fan of World War Z, the book.
Oh yeah, I didn't read about this.
And I was, and for those who have not read the book, you should really pick it up. It's really good. But what it is, it's basically a UN guy goes around the world and interviews people on how they survive the zombie apocalypse. So the apocalypse is basically over, but he's going back and he's interviewing people how they survived. Everybody has their own stories, and there's some really powerful moments in it. Actually, the book is so good that my wife loves the book, and for her to love a genre book is pretty big because she loves reading those women in power books and books like that.
But she does love genre, so
yeah, she does.
It's more that she wouldn't necessarily pick up a book like that. But
now that she has me and I've already owned it, she'll pick it up. And yeah, so I was reading that instead of him kind of going around and interviewing people about what happened, it's him trying to save the world from...
So it's just another zombie movie.
So it's like an action movie, and it's going to be rated PG-13.
Oh.
And that's kind of a bummer, because they're so worried. I wish studios would get past this. Movies that are rated R won't do well.
Yeah.
Because
it has nothing to do with the rating. It has everything to do with the quality.
Exactly. Because they're putting $150 million in this movie, which is a lot for a zombie movie.
Yeah, then you might as well make it R and make people enjoy it.
Exactly. So I think they want to get more people into it, but I mean, the Matrix movies are rated R, and I mean, they grossed billions of dollars worldwide. So
now, the Matrix movies are... they're rated R mostly for language and the violence, but the violence is wire fu. The violence.
Exactly.
If that movie, if they didn't swear in the first Matrix, I don't think that movie would be rated R. The sequels have got glimpses of nudity and sexual.
Do they really? I don't even remember. I haven't.
Well, yeah, in the Zion orgy scene, there's a lot of I was 14 when that movie came out, so I remember it pretty well.
There's
a lot of transparent shirts,
and I think I've watched them when they came out on DVD. I haven't watched them since.
Yeah. Well,
so was it 7 years ago? Basically,
I'm guessing.
I don't even know. I'm guessing 2004.
Yeah,
correct?
2003, 2004, probably something like that.
Anyways, it really disappointed me because I thought they had an opportunity to make a really interesting zombie movie because zombie movies, I love them, but all of them tell the story of the beginning. Mm-hmm. They never tell the story of the end, which I mean, I enjoy the survival aspect, like the Walking Dead comic book. I enjoy that part where you're living every moment with these people.
Right.
But I think it'd be cool to see a movie where it's actually
It takes place in a world where zombies have occurred and
Exactly.
then they're over. Sort of like a movie that takes place at the end of 28 Days Later.
exactly. That's why I really
Well,
enjoyed.
I guess they made that movie, but they kind of cut that. Anyway.
Yeah, but that's why I really enjoyed the book, because the book was a different style. I mean, it still dealt with it because they're telling the story, so it's in flashback, so you still get the zombie part of it, but you don't. But you know that they fixed it. They fixed it. I'm quoting.
Yeah.
And so it's a bummer. It could not be a real plot thing. They haven't released the plot officially, and all they
But I
have
think
to,
they've released photos, haven't they?
Yeah,
They've
that's
set
just-
photos.
that's the only
That
thing they
looked
have.
like, and it looked like sort of a action-y movie, but that could be flashbacks or
Yeah,
something.
and I hope that Brad Pitt's, and I like Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
So, and he does his genre movies. He usually stays pretty close to him. Movies he produces, and he's producing this one. He does a pretty good job with
Yeah.
that. So I understand if they want to make it a little more accessible to people.
Yeah.
But I think they really missed an opportunity to tell a story no one's seen before.
Yeah.
And
And we don't know for sure that it's not. I mean, to me, my first reaction to that plot or to the plot of the book is, well, that doesn't really work that well as a movie. Like, no,
it's hard.
you don't want a movie that's just about this guy interviewing somebody. I think it would be more interesting to take an angle of like, well, it's in a post-zombie world where there's some, he's trying to figure something out. It's that now it becomes like the Pelican Brief only with dead zombies.
Yeah,
something like that.
I agree.
That would be cool.
When I read the book and I read that they were making a movie on it, I got excited, but then I also got apprehensive. I'm like, how are they going to make a movie out of this? Because
Exactly.
Not that. I mean, because some books it just doesn't translate well, because the book is, I think, is the best zombie book ever. So to have it, I don't know. I'll still see the movie and I'll be excited to see it. But yeah,
it's one thing to change the book to make it a better movie. It's another thing to just sort of take the title and then be like, well, we're just going to make another zombie movie.
Exactly, because they could even take chapters in the book and just make it a movie, because the people are telling him what's happening.
Yeah.
So if he's going around and literally, because he's basically living people's experiences,
Right.
So you could have that in the movie.
Yeah.
And I think unless it's changed, the movie was written by J. Michael Straczynski. So
Really? I'm not entirely sure that I am somebody who thinks that's a good thing or not.
The thing, being a Spider-Man fan, I liked what JMS did, and some of his Spider-Man stories were pretty interesting. But then the other times he would tell stories that's just so stupid that I guess stupid is the wrong word, that are just not. I don't know. He has so many grand ideas, and sometimes it falls on its face. Like he changed how Spider-Man was perceived, that maybe Spider-Man wasn't accidentally bit by a spider. Maybe he was part of the spider people. And this guy named Ezekiel came and he was talking to Spider-Man. He had same spider powers. And so, I mean, it was an interesting premise. And then what happened with his Superman, which I haven't read.
Yeah.
But what I've read about it is his plans are so big they kind of collapse on themselves.
Yeah, that was a shame because I was never really a Babylon 5 guy. But when I heard what he was doing with Spider-Man Walks the Earth or whatever it's called, I thought like that sounds like a cool Superman. I'm sorry, Superman Walks the Earth, and I thought that was a cool idea of like, oh, he's gonna go to these little towns and he's just gonna help normal people, he's this sort of god character who can do anything, but he's gonna be solving regular people problems, and I thought that's gonna be cool, and then to hear just people hate on that book.
Well, he got fired off the book.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 issues in, I think.
Yeah. Well, and then now they're rebooting everything, so it's like,
typical DC.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, that was my big news thing that I read that I was kind of.
Yeah.
But
it could be the movie comes out and it's an amazing zombie movie,
so,
and it's one more for the shelf. It's just a shame that there was a different way. It could have been a different view on zombies, and
exactly.
It was like,
so I'll still give it the benefit of the doubt, and even PG-13 they're able to get away with more now. So as long as the movie's good and the characters are developed like they are in the book, and as long as the movie's good, I'll still see it, and I hope it's good.
Yeah.
And I'm not such a big fanboy, and I've said this before. Even with Spider-Man and Organic Webs, they still made a good Spider-Man movie, so that's not going to hold it back. So if they still make a good movie based on what they've written, then sure, I'll take it, and I'll take it for what it is.
And the truth is that if they can get away with on The Walking Dead what they get away with on The Walking Dead, then they can probably get away with some pretty good zombie moments in a PG-13 movie, as long as they don't swear too much, which is not a big deal. And especially since it's a Brad Pitt movie, it's a big budget film.
They'll probably
the MPAA will give it a lot of leeway. Yeah,
because
funny's not the right word, but yeah.
But you know what I mean? It's because it's Brad Pitt, and Brad Pitt has so much money invested in it.
Disgusting is what it is.
Exactly.
But,
that's a little off topic, and I mean that's it for my World War Z. That this film is not yet rated. That always made me laugh. I didn't really care for the movie too much, but what I did like about the movie is his movie he wanted it rated NC-17, and they gave it to him, and they wouldn't tell him exactly why it was rated NC-17, even when you watch it.
But when a producer calls them up, the producer or the production company like Paramount says, why is it rated this? They'll tell them exactly what it is because those people have money.
So it's pretty interesting, and it's
not an amazing documentary, but it's a very honest look at the MPAA and makes you hate the MPAA for sure.
Exactly. That was my big news, and that's all I really had to say about that. I just hope it works out. I guess is
well. The truth is, it's a really good lead into what is now becoming a very unfortunate segment in our podcast, which is what is AMC fucking up this week?
Dun, 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 dun,
yeah,
hey, you want to put your show on AMC? Good luck.
Oh man, it's unfortunate because a year ago AMC was like, their reputation was, this is a channel that makes really good drama and focuses on making really good drama.
Well, the full name of AMC is American Movie Classics.
Yeah.
So they're focusing on high quality things.
Yeah.
Even though
especially since they used to be part of a bigger group and spun off a while ago, and that's sort of when they started making their own stuff. And anyway, now they have a reputation for
being cheap,
beating up their not even the cheapness. Like they don't have a lot of money. It's more for beating up their showrunners because we don't know this is true entirely. But it seems like it's very plausible that they fired Frank Darabont from The Walking Dead because he was not okay with the fact that they were asking him to make 13 episodes with less money than they made the 6 episodes of last season for.
And if I was Frank Darabont, I'd probably be mad about that.
Yeah. And because, there's some other little details like that. The guy who was directing one of the early episodes turned in some footage that Darabont thought was unusable, and he was trying to fix. AMC, I guess, asked him to have the zombies heard and more unseen than they used to be, so that they could save on makeup costs. Just kind of ridiculous stuff. The kind of stuff that actually now makes me very scared about season 2.
Yeah.
It's really unfortunate, and one of the sleazy things here, or I think the sleaziest thing, is the fact that they fired him 3 days after Comic-Con, and he didn't know at Comic-Con that they were going to do that. So it's kind of like they're using him to get the hype up at Comic-Con, and then immediately fired him, and then we're sort of, words have been thrown around. Torturing is not the right word. Threatening is not the right word. But in order to keep the actors from saying anything about it, they were sort of entertaining the idea of this is a zombie show, any of you can die at any time, which is true, but not the right way to treat your actors.
Wow.
If that's really it's dirty. It's really dirty.
I hope that's really not the case, because but it sounds really bad to say, but how they treated Breaking Bad and Mad Men. They need to, who's ever in charge at AMC really needs to learn how to manage people and do a better job of creating a creative environment where everybody can thrive.
Yeah.
Because when you start doing stuff like that, you're also going to run into a problem where people are going to be afraid to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Because they might be shot down because they think they're so tough. And if I was a show like The Walking Dead, Mad Men, Breaking Bad, if I had a way off the network, I'd probably take it.
The unfortunate thing here is that AMC was that, especially when The Walking Dead was created, the great thing about it was that everybody felt like, oh, this is a place where, they can just do anything they want. I've said in the past that Darabont would say that at any time they went to AMC and said, we want to do this, AMC never said no, which is amazing. The unfortunate thing is that it all comes out of Matt Weiner asking for $10 million for Mad Men, which is probably not unreasonable based on the fact that show wins Emmys every single year.
And that's less than $1 million an episode.
And you're right, it's not that much, But it all comes back to the fact that AMC doesn't have a lot of money. AMC doesn't, it doesn't have a lot of ratings. People don't really watch it that much. People don't watch Breaking Bad and Mad Men very much. So for them to fork over that much cash for a show is, it makes it difficult for them.
It does.
It's a shame that they can't. Walking Dead is the show that they should be putting a lot of money in because it's a show where they can make the most.
Because I read that. I mean, it averages 6 to 7 million viewers an episode,
something like that.
That's pretty big for cable.
I believe they said that it was the highest rated pilot for basic cable.
Yeah,
that the pilot was the highest rated episode for basic cable. I don't know. It could be that season 2 comes out and you don't notice it at all, or that there's a couple bad episodes, but it's not necessarily that. But it's a shame. And
it is.
I want AMC to turn around next week. I want to be here talking about how AMC came out and they apologized everything and they're fixing everything and making it all better. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, I won't hold my breath because I don't think so.
Yeah. I've just got a couple of little things. Bruce Willis is going to be in G.I. Joe 2.
I saw that.
Along with The Rock.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think so. Though the bad thing about that is that I think that will make that movie a high enough profile movie that they might actually try to make it good, which that'll just kill it. If there's not like super underwater submarine boats and all the other crazy shit that was in G.I. Joe 1, I don't know. It'll still be great either way. And I know you're a Brian Michael Bendis fan, but have you ever read Powers?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I've read the first trade, which is The Death of Retro Girl, which is not really spoilers because I believe the book is called The Death of Retro Girl. And they're talking about the show. I'm excited to see it. But.
Yeah, it's cool that it's on a network like Showtime.
Oh, is it Showtime? I was just thinking I couldn't remember.
I think it is Showtime, and because then again, you can get away with stuff, and I guess is what I like now about cable TV is networks like HBO and even Cinemax now has some show coming out on Cinemax. I forget what it's called, but I saw an ad for it. It's cool that they're doing that because they got to get ways for people to watch because movies won't do it anymore because people have DVD collections like me where it's not necessary to watch them on TV. So it's cool that they're starting to bring that kind of content to. Yeah,
and Showtime's really doing well, especially considering that HBO is for the most part floundering.
Well, it's because they spent $120 million on the Game of Thrones.
The truth is, the Game of Thrones, though, was a big success for them.
It was.
Which is a shame, because it's garbage. But other than that show, I don't feel like... and True Blood does really well, but that show is not very good anymore either. But I don't feel like HBO has actually been relevant since the end of Sopranos.
Yeah.
Especially now that basic cable is becoming a really popular medium.
I don't know. I was reading an article online that basic cable TV is being dropped at a record rate in American homes.
Really?
Yeah. Because
it's probably because it's not easy yet, but it's becoming easier to cut the cable altogether.
Exactly.
Because you can, with your Netflix, with everything else, it's...
And I was reading an article, there's the same article, and the head of some studio, I'm sorry, I can't remember, said they predicted it, and now they're trying to think of new ways where they can still produce shows, make money, and not have to worry about people dropping their cable boxes, i.e. Hulu, Netflix, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
which would be good. The truth is, I don't. I want on-demand television.
Yeah,
even if it's got commercials in it, that's fine.
Exactly.
I want to be able to watch what I want to watch when I want.
They should do what 24 did in their 24 their season premiere and their season ending, and one of the episodes in the middle. They'd always have it sponsored by, it could be Ford, with limited commercial interruptions.
Oh yeah,
and so it'd be like it'd be 25 minutes, and then they'd have a Ford commercial, and then go back to the show for another 13 minutes, a Ford commercial, and then it'd end.
Yeah.
See, and that's okay because if you can't fast forward through that on demand, that's okay, because even if the companies, I don't know, if I was a major company had a lot of money, whether it be Coke or whatever, and a network came to me and said, "Hey, you want to sponsor the show for $3 million an episode?" I mean, I don't know how much more money they'd get from a whole bunch of individual commercials, so I would do it.
Yeah, and I loved Hulu, especially when it came out, because yes, there were commercials in there, but usually it was one, maybe two commercials. But then at a certain point, I had to stop using it because they got to this place where every commercial break was the same commercial.
That's annoying.
Or a commercial for the same product, and maybe a slightly different to it. But I was seeing the same commercials over and over again, and I just hated it. It was worse than watching a real commercial break on television because it was horribly obnoxious. Plus, they went back. They started doing the thing that they do on real TV, which is one of the worst things that man has ever invented, which is they started turning up the volume on the commercials, so the commercials were more obnoxious and it was hard to turn the volume down, and which is one of the, like a year ago the government passed a law saying that you couldn't do that anymore. They actually one of the best things to ever pass through the Senate, because we can't solve anything in Congress now, but everyone was unified on you shouldn't be able to turn up the volume on the commercials. This is bullshit, and yet I've seen nothing. They still do it. I don't know what happened to that. Maybe it was a joke law,
or it's something they really can't enforce.
Yeah, that's entirely possible,
or they don't care if they pay the fine. I don't know what the fine is.
It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Anyway, so I stopped using Hulu because they just made commercials horrible.
Cool. So there's our weekly fuck you to AMC.
Yeah.
What else you got for me, James?
Let's talk about Vin Diesel.
Oh, do we have to? I hate that guy.
Yes, we have to.
Why?
This is well, we're not just talking about Vin Diesel. We're also talking about Justin Lin, who Justin Lin has directed the last 3 Fast and Furious movies. So he started with Tokyo Drift, and then he also directed something else. But Annapolis. But the important thing is he directed the Modern Warfare episode of Community. Do you watch Community?
No, I mean to all the time.
Well, there's an amazing episode. Anyway, it's the paintball episode that everybody talks about.
Okay.
Just brilliant, awesome episode. And he's been talking about they're making Fast 6, which is what they're calling it right now. They're not. It's not the it would probably be 6 Furious, but anyway, or they're calling it the
Furious 666.
They've also called it the Fast 5 sequel. The sequel to Fast 5, which is the 5th sequel. Anyway, but the interesting thing is he said that he shot 12 minutes of Fast 6 while shooting Fast 5, finished editing it before Fast 5 was already was even done, and it's the end of Fast 6. So the end of the movie is already shot, and they're not even making that movie yet.
Yeah. Well, have you seen Fast 5?
Yeah.
Well, I guess because the last scene, at the end of the credits, looks like it's a totally different movie.
Yeah.
With the Rock, and we won't say, whatever.
Yeah, I guess it's spoiler.
We won't spoil it.
It was the worst spoiler.
Totally.
I didn't want that character back. I don't want that character in any movie.
So,
it's one of my least favorite actor/actresses ever.
Oh yeah. Look how tough I am.
Yeah.
Right. One of my least favorite things about the Resident Evil movie, and this is saying a lot. I don't mind the first Resident Evil movie. Actually, I don't mind the series too much. But is when Paul W.S. Anderson's such a hack.
Yup.
They always show Michelle Rodriguez like she's looking down, and then she'll look up slowly, and that's happens 4 times in that movie.
It happens. I think she's always doing that.
Exactly. That's the way she drives me nuts, and she's supposed to be tough. I don't think she's tough.
No. Well, I think she probably is tough. I think she's a horrible actress. So it doesn't matter if she's tough. It comes off as just cheese.
I know. And why? I'm not a director, and I don't claim to be one. I understand movies enough that if I was given a script by Paul W.S. Anderson, I could shoot his movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because, I mean...
he is a hack.
Don't get me wrong. Visually, he makes his movies look cool.
Sometimes.
But I could still say, hey, I need a movie where people are underground being chased by something, and... Predator, Resident Evil 4, Event Horizon. I mean, all his movies deal with people in confined spaces being chased by some sort of monster. and he does not. Oh, maybe not the Three Musketeers that's coming out.
Which that's what I was just gonna say. Is that movie looks like one of the most visually appalling pieces of garbage
I know.
I've ever seen.
You know what's
And seeing it in 3D, I think my brain would actually melt inside my head.
Yeah, and so I know this is way off topic, but I mean that's what I'm saying. Paul W. Anderson says, "Hey, I saw this in a movie one time,
Yeah.
and I'm going to shoot the exact same scene. Cool. Now I'm going to use really wide angles, and then I'll steal some shots from the Resident Evil games, and I'll put them in my movie, and then fans will go, oh, yay!"
Yeah.
And I don't have a single original idea in my brain.
I'd be interested to see how he edits his movies, if he's involved that much. Because the truth is, his movies are not like the pacing in his movies are fine.
Yeah.
The acting is pretty horrible, but that's because he's married to Mia Jovovich, so she has to be in his movies. Yeah, no, he's horrible.
Yeah. So,
I don't even know how we got onto that.
yeah.
Oh, Justin Lin.
Justin Lin.
Something about Fast. Yeah. So they're making another Fast and Furious movie, and that is about Vin Diesel, as well as the fact that they are finally making another Riddick movie. But they're acknowledging that Riddick is a horrible, horrible movie, and that this will be basically a sequel to Pitch Black.
Oh, that'll make it better.
Yeah. Now, that's not saying that it's going to be called Pitch Black 2. It'll probably be called,
Pitch Blackest.
Well, that would be the third one.
That-
Pitch Blacker would be the second one.
Oh, you're right. I'm just playing
Yeah.
on the Fast and Furious
Yeah.
titles.
Yeah. Pitch Black 5 Black. That's what it would be. I'm actually kind of excited about that. Pitch Black is one of my favorite low-budget horror sci-fi movies.
Really?
Yeah, I think that movie's great, and I was super excited for Chronicles of Riddick, and then I saw it, and there were so many puns in that fucking movie that I could not stand it.
That's a big problem with Vin Diesel, is they try to make him like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I've said this in a previous podcast, and I'll say it again. There is an art to being able to deliver a one-liner. The Rock, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis can do it. Vin Diesel cannot. He is not a good enough actor. You cannot... It's not just saying, consider this a divorce.
Yeah.
You just can't say stuff like that and make it in the same tone and the same cadence as Schwarzenegger.
It's funny you say that, because I forgot to tell you the bad news about the Justin Lin story. 'Cause the good news there being that they're making another Fast and Furious. The bad news is that he is in talks to direct the next Terminator movie.
Yeah, I remember reading that a while ago. Some lady bought the rights for the Terminator, like some rich lady.
Yeah.
Which, for $25 million, if I had that much money...
They were super cheap because Salvage McG killed the thing.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, but
I-
after what you just said, it's entirely possible they might put Vin Diesel in a Terminator movie.
I still think it'd be cool if they should have ended... I don't mind Terminator Salvation. I think it's a fun movie. But I still think they should have ended it how I thought they should have, is where they took John Connor's face off, put it on the Terminator, and made... I know you've said it too. And that's why I thought they were going with it.
Yeah.
And
I was saying
him-
that, yeah, like halfway through that movie, I was like, I know how to write this movie. This is going to be the coolest ending ever.
I remember-
and then they didn't do that, and I couldn't understand what was going on.
I remember reading before that movie came out that they changed the ending.
They did.
Because-
They actually changed the ending twice. Originally, the ending was very much like that. It was more complicated, but the Terminator, what's his name, the main character in that movie.
Whatever.
Anyway,
Guy who...
Sam Worthington.
Sam Worthington's character who goes in and out of an Australian accent for the whole movie.
Yeah. Originally, the script was simply Sam Worthington and the guy who plays young Kyle Reese are. It's like a road trip Mad Max movie of them getting to where John Connor is, and then at the end something happens and he kills John Connor. I believe it's been a year since I read about, or 2 years since I read about this. I believe originally he killed John Connor, and then some stuff happened, and something else, and then the ending was exactly that, where he helps John Connor, and then they put John Connor's face on the Terminator, and that is the right ending to that movie.
And that to me would make sense too, because if that Terminator did that, then it makes sense how the Terminators went back in time.
Yeah.
And how there was a good Terminator because that Terminator figured out like how to be,
Yeah.
So I still think Salvation is not a bad movie, but I think
No.
that it missed an opportunity to make. I mean, even if we saw it coming, I still think it'd be shocking for everybody else, and would have made the movie more buzzworthy, and would have made more people go see it. So,
Well, honestly, the
Warner
worst,
Brothers, my phone number, you can email me. I'll write any script for you.
I've said this since I think since before that movie, before I saw that movie, the worst thing that happened in that movie was Christian Bale. Christian Bale came onto that movie and said, "I don't want to play a small part, so I want John Connor to be through this whole movie," and they had to write this horrible plot with a worse ending into that movie where there's weird submarine garbage going on and all this like surveillance stuff that didn't need to be there. We just needed like a cool road trip movie where they fought Terminators and got to the end, and that is the kind of Terminator movie I want.
Or why can't they make a Terminator movie
Terminator
where there's actually the war?
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's sort of what Salvation was supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly, but it wasn't.
No.
Like, there wasn't Terminators and humans going, like, shooting at each other.
Exactly.
Like, what I saw at the beginning of T2, I want to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, what else you got for me, buddy?
Well, that's pretty much it, except for the Harold and Kumar trailer.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I was going to
We talked about this a little bit before.
Oh, my gosh,
we
dude.
oughta,
Classic.
It's
so
insane.
Insane that it's money.
I could not believe when the trailer started. I was like, oh, they're going for that, like, oh, it's a fake, we're pretending like it's a fun Christmas movie, and then it's gonna get drugs. And then they shot Santa in the face, and I didn't know what was happening. It was suddenly like those movies you said before. They've always had sort of crazy things happen in them, like riding the cheetah, but they're on drugs when they're riding the cheetah, so I give it some leeway.
When you say that,
there is
I
no
laugh.
one on drugs in that scene. What?
I laugh when you say that because it's so ridiculous, but so funny.
Yeah, no, it is.
And then, even, so the trailer is money. Even if, besides shooting Santa in the face, they go that Neil Patrick Harris is in heaven. I mean, what the hell?
Yes, it starts with Neil Patrick Harris in heaven. He insults Jesus.
Yep.
And then he comes back.
He comes back. But if you've seen the end of Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay,
yeah,
at the end of the credits, he gets up and walks away after being shot.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I haven't seen that since I saw it in theaters.
And, I loved in the Harold and Kumar trailer, too, they were describing what happened to NPH, and he doesn't know it's happened to him so many times. They have to be more specific on when he branded a hooker and was shot outside of a whorehouse. And they have all these, you were saying it, meta references where the guy's pointing at the camera and winking so you can see it in 3D.
Yeah.
And then
and even beyond that, like a lot of the throwing stuff at the camera jokes are all meta 3D humor.
So it's kind of funny that in a way it's symbolizing how I feel about 3D too, is they're just trying to shove it in your face, and you don't want to. And so this movie's kind of winking at it, and I'm excited to see it this November. It's the only Christmas movie that I've really wanted to see in a long time.
It certainly looks better than I know we haven't talked about it. It certainly looks better than Arthur Christmas or Arthur Claus, whatever the name of that movie was.
What the hell, dude?
But that's not even the worst trailer we saw, which we have to talk about this. I don't even remember what it's called. I gotta take a second. No.
Where we saw the whole movie in the 3-4 minute trailer.
Well, this is true. Yeah, we did see the whole movie.
I usually like Anne Hathaway because she's cute. But
no, the real problem was the trailer with Nick Swartzen
for
Bucky Larson, Born to Be a Star.
Yep.
That is, I think I feel now the way you felt 2 weeks ago for Battleship, where I don't even. That was the most appalling thing I've ever seen. I can't believe that's a movie.
Yeah.
I feel like there was some article I didn't read this week about Ben Stiller making fake trailers, and when it started, I thought that's what it had to be. Any movie where they have like giant white chiclets taped to somebody's teeth to make it look like they've got big front teeth, I can't imagine how that's a movie.
Well, even it's produced by Adam Sandler, and I think see, I like Adam Sandler, but a lot of his friends are in movies like that where they're just, hey, I have an idea for a movie, cool, write a script and I'll produce it because I make lots and lots of money.
Yeah.
And have you seen a trailer for that Jack and Jill?
Yeah.
What the hell, dude?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I used to like Adam Sandler back when he was making like
Love.
some funny movies like Funny People, which is half drama, but that, and then he was also going over and making Rain on Me and Spanglish and and Punch Drunk Love, which are all really dramas, and I think really good dramas.
Me too.
That he is really good in.
I think
I loved that Adam Sandler.
Yeah, in Reign
what
Over
he's been
Me-
doing for the last 10 years of like these family comedy or like no, it's like the people who liked him in his 90s movies, now that they're grown up and having kids, like it's movies for them, I guess. It's atrocious. It's some of it, I can't.
Yeah, I
can't
agree.
handle it.
You know, and especially someone who, in Reign Over Me, when he's telling the story about how his wife and children died,
Ugh.
dude, it broke my heart. And you know that he's capable. And even in Punch Drunk Love, which is my favorite Adam Sandler movie, he's so unusual in the movie, and he has so many awesome character tendencies that I just wish that he'd make a movie like that,
scene-
or make a Happy Gilmore again.
Yeah, the scene in Spanglish when he. Have you seen Spanglish?
Yes, it's a great movie.
The scene in Spanglish when he finds out that his wife has been cheating on him, he kills that scene.
Yep.
I've never seen that scene in other movies performed as well, and the way it's also a well written scene. Like what he's, the way he reacts is really well written, but he does it perfectly.
Exactly.
I don't like that movie gets a lot of hate. I don't know why.
I don't know why either. That's a fun movie. Oh, not fun. It's a good movie.
I know it is. I mean, there's
Yeah,
a
it's
lot of
fun.
fun in it, but that scene is not fun.
No, but you know what I mean? He should. I mean, obviously he shouldn't listen to me because he makes so much money. But I think he should do, one of those comedy dramas, and then he should go back and doing his sophomore stuff. Then do the comedy.
Yeah.
switch him.
If he were doing like even Little Nicky level of comedies,
That's I think his worst movie.
Well, have you seen Grown Ups or Jack and Jill?
Well, I haven't seen Jack and Jill. So.
Yeah, I have to imagine that it.
See, I think Little Nicky's worse than
Than
Grown-Ups.
Grown Ups. I haven't seen Grown Ups, so. And yeah, Little Nicky's bad, but it's Little Nicky's one of those movies that I imagine like other people like, but I'm just not one of them. But anyway, if he were doing that kind of humor, and then he was going off and doing better stuff as well, I would be okay with it. I'd be like, okay, this is the movie he makes that he makes money that is not for me, and then he would at least still have some credibility.
Even his Longest Yard I thought was a good movie too.
Oh yeah,
where he played. It's a remake, but he was fun in it. And so,
it's at least a decent movie.
Yeah, so hopefully I'd like to just go with it. I like Jennifer Aniston too, so maybe that's why I don't mind just go with it. But
I forgot about that entirely.
But But I think that's what that movie is, because you had Norm Macdonald making movies. Nick Swartzen's in almost all his movies, anyways.
Nick Swartzen.
I
used to like Nick Swartzen.
I know the premise of the movie is literally his parents are in porn and he has a small wiener, so he's in.
Well, and everyone he is from Retarded Town, where everyone is retarded. Like it's not even. I'm not trying to be mean here. Everyone there is this horrible caricature of like how in 1985 they imagined what retarded people were like. Like it's just and like they're all in this little town together. I don't even know.
I'll never see it, so.
Oh, but they're gonna make me keep watching trailers for it. They're gonna make me sit next to my folks and while I watch that trailer, and I'm gonna have to listen to my folks complain about that trailer while I go, yeah, it is. The world we live in is just horrible. Anyway, that's all of the news I have.
Sweet. So I guess we're just gonna go right into
Rolling in.
What have you been watching?
What have I been watching?
What have you been watching?
I watched a lot of stuff this week.
Me too.
I'm just going to shoot through a few really quick. I finally watched Miller's Crossing, which we talked about a few weeks ago that I had from Netflix. And I'd seen it before.
Was it worth the wait?
Well, that movie is really good. And the truth is, because it's a Coen Brothers movie that's also like a noir gangster 20s film, that should be my favorite Coen Brothers movie, but it's not. So it's a little disappointing on that level, but it's a great movie. John Turturro is still amazing in it. I can't put my finger on what it is that it just doesn't snap as well as I would want.
It happens in movies.
Yeah,
it's
one of their quieter, older movies that it's not like to hold it up to something like No Country for Old Men, which I adore, which is not even written by them, is unfair. So,
yeah.
And then the other thing. There's two more things I'll talk about. I finally saw Strange Days, which I haven't seen. I've never seen before. And it's been on my list for a long time, which is Catherine Bigelow's, if not first, it's one of her first movies when she was married to James Cameron. It's written by James Cameron.
Did she say I'm Queen of the World in it?
No,
Because he says it.
because of Titanic.
Yeah.
No, no, she didn't. But it is where the Fatboy Slim song "Right Here, Right Now," that song, the audio, the "Right Here, Right Now" is from this movie.
Really?
Yeah. I heard it when she said it in the movie, and I was like, that's that song. And I went and looked it up online, and sure enough, that's where he got that audio from.
Wow.
Which was really cool. And I was amazed that I even noticed it. I think it was because when she said it, I immediately had that song stuck in my head.
Wow.
As simple as that song is. That movie should be better.
Yeah.
Honestly, I want them to remake Strange Days because I think that somebody else could take that really cool idea and make a tight script and a well-directed movie. That's the script. The movie is really dated because it's James Cameron.
Yep.
And because it's a 90s movie, there's a lot of stuff that just doesn't need to be there. There's a lot of nudity and sex scenes that are way too long because they add nothing,
Yeah.
And then there's just like weird little bunny trails, and if you've watched a lot of especially early 90s sci-fi, that kind of alternative sci-fi, it's kind of common for those that not be sure. The movie is like 2.5 hours long.
Wow.
And it's a pretty simple, the main plot is pretty simple. It's like, people can, the idea is people are putting these things on their heads, and then they can videotape their lives, and then they can take that chip out and put it on the thing that's on your head, and then you can watch and sort of experience that video for yourself. And it takes that idea and takes it in really cool directions, and there's some neat ideas. It's just not a very fun movie, and the ending is, and the ending takes place on New Year's Eve, 1999, and everybody and there's a lot of LA racism stuff going on in the movie, and I don't know, it's kind of messy, and I'm not crazy. I was disappointed that it was not like this gem of a dark city that I hadn't seen that I'd never seen. You've never seen it, I assume.
No, I've never even heard of it.
Yeah. The last thing is I finally started getting into Top Gear.
Yeah?
People have been telling me to watch Top Gear for a while, and just last weekend some friends were telling me about it and saying, "Oh yeah, you got to go ahead and watch it." It's like 13 seasons long, which is daunting. But even if it's British seasons, so they're 13 episodes. But I just started, and I basically started in season 9, and then got up to one of the first specials, which is an episode that's not built like the rest of their episodes where they're talking about cars and have a celebrity on or whatever. And the first one I got to was they sent the guys. It's these 3 British guys.
Yeah.
They sent them to Miami, gave them $1,000, and told them to buy a car instead of rent a car and drive it to New Orleans, and then they would try to sell it in New Orleans and see how much money they could make back. So, and for $1,000 in Miami, you can't get shit. Like, these guys got just the junkiest cars, and then they have to drive them all this way. It's amazing. I couldn't believe how entertaining that was. At one point, they're going into Alabama, so they pull over with paint, and their mission is to try and get each other killed. So they're writing things like "Man Love Rules," okay, on the sides of their cars, or "Country music is rubbish." And at one point, they stop at a gas station and almost get killed. The owner of the gas station calls the boys, and the boys show up like 6 boys in the back of a pickup truck, gonna beat the shit out of them, and they hauled ass out of there, like wipe all the paint off the side of the cars, like terrified, and leave and drive out of Alabama. It's amazing. And there's like 6 or 8 specials. I've seen almost all of them now. A lot of them have to do with go to this country, buy a cheap car, and drive it across the country. And they're amazing. I have a feeling that next week when I talk about this again, when I've watched more of the regular shows, they won't be as good. But I feel like, especially if you are in any way interested in like travel shows, you need to watch those 8 or so episodes.
Yeah, I've seen a few episodes.
They're amazing.
Yeah, Top Gear it's like a fun show. I mean,
it is.
It's okay. I don't like if it's on. I won't sit there and just watch it. But if nothing else is on, I'll watch them because they have fun and they do.
I have a feeling that the rest of the show will be more like something that I put on and I listen to it and it's cool and some of the guests that I like. But the specials, one of the specials they drive. They're trying to see if they can be the first people to drive to the North Pole in a car. Nobody's ever done it. It's really hard to do, and it's amazing. Like I can't even describe. It's so good. I feel like I'm gonna have to sit my folks down and watch a couple of these, especially the Botswana one. My mom would love that. And watch a couple of these, even though they're not necessarily into cars or into Top Gear, but they will, as a like a travel show, they will love.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't. It was so good. So that's what I've been watching.
Cool. I watched two things. Well, I watched more, but I'll talk about two of them. The first thing I watched, I streamed it on Netflix because when my wife isn't at home, I have nothing else to do, and. There was a horror movie called Doghouse, and it's a British zombie movie. Oh, yeah, whatever. I like Shaun of the Dead. I'll watch it. And it starts off, and it has kind of the same, I guess, tempo, where you're introduced to these 6 not very nice guys where they treat women like crap, and it has kind of a comic book start where this guy was yelling at this girl, and he just slept with her, and he says, well, I'm going to hang out with the boys, and then he turns away and it stops and it draws in around him and it says, his name Shane, and then it does that for all 6 characters, and they're talking about how they're gonna go away and have fun in this little sleepy town in England that's you can't talk to anybody and yada yada yada, and it actually takes a long time to get the movie going, and it's okay. I mean, I don't mind movies like that. It's a slow burn, and so they get to just before they get into town, they see this sheep that's all torn to pieces. And so they move it off the side of the road, and then they start using their cell phones. And the other guy takes a cell phone and says, you guys, this is a party weekend, no more cell phones. And so it's kind of cool. They're setting up that these guys aren't going to be able to communicate with the outside world.
Yeah.
So he puts it in a bag, they throw it in the back of the bus. They get to the town, and the town's deserted. And they're walking around, and, the pub's empty. Everything's empty. And when they walk out, there's just some chick walking across the street. And it's this yeah. Ooh, no, it's but she's acting all crazy, and an army guy shows up, and basically it's a kind of interesting premise where it's this virus that only affects women, so only women are zombies. So it's kind of playing on the fact that these guys treat women like crap, and they come to this town where all the women there are zombie/demon kind of things, and they all have these cool characters. Like the hairstylist walks around with scissors to kill people, and there's this huge fat witch's brew LARP looking character. And the movie actually wasn't too bad. I was surprised that I enjoyed it. Of course, I started not enjoying it when they wanted to they started explaining how they got infected with this stuff, some military.
Yeah.
That part I didn't care, but I actually thought it was an interesting take where it only affects women. And, yeah. So it's better than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And so yeah, if you feel like you're bored and you want to watch some kind of zombie movie, see Doghouse.
Cool.
And the other thing I saw this week was The Change Up with Ryan Reynolds and Jason Bateman.
How was it? Was it the funniest script you've ever read?
No.
Not that you read the script, but that's what Jason Bateman calls it in the, not preview, but the thing before the movie. He calls it the funniest script. He was on Arrested Development. He calls it the funniest script he's ever read.
It was funny, though. It was, the one part that I really actually enjoyed about it, besides seeing Olivia Wilde naked, but was, I don't know if it was her, because she was...
It's not.
Yeah,
there was an article online. It's all, she's almost... Every chat show she goes on... I call it a chat show because I've been watching British people talk. Every chat show she goes on, she talks about they emailed me and said, there was a slip where you can see the pasty, and we designed 8 CG breasts for you. Pick the one that is most like the real one.
See, I think they did that too with Leslie Mann in it. That's her name, right?
Yeah, Judd Apatow's wife.
Because
I haven't heard that.
Because she's naked in it a lot, but it's almost like, I don't know, it doesn't... This might sound weird, it doesn't look like her body. Because, the boobs are kind of bigger. I don't know. Maybe it is her. I don't know.
But it's a weird world to be in.
Because,
they're CGing in breasts.
Well, because they started... The first movie I really heard them do that was Machete with Jessica Alba.
Yeah.
where she didn't want to be naked. They're like, okay, sweet, put on a green suit, we'll put you in a shower, we'll make you.
Well, they sort of put her in like a flesh colored underwear sort of thing, and then just they CG'd out that, which then like they weren't CGing in nudity, they were just CGing out the clothes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess Leslie Mann could be naked. I don't know.
I don't know.
But anyway, so yeah, I think the best part of the movie though was actually seeing Ryan Reynolds and Jason Bateman play the characters, because Ryan Reynolds actually does an amazing Jason Bateman. You know how I don't know how I probably can't do it justice, but when he does his "Are you kidding me?"
Yes.
You know what I mean? And Ryan Reynolds knocks it down, and what Bateman does really well is he does Ryan Reynolds' delivery cadence. Boom, boom, boom. The fuck you, fuck this. And so it's kind of funny seeing those talented actors being able to do that.
That's cool.
Because, you know, some people might not think Ryan Reynolds is a good actor, but I think he is, because he's funny, and then he's good and Buried, and...
Oh, I still haven't seen that.
So I think he can act. And then Jason Bateman, I think, is a good actor, too.
Oh, of course.
So having... being able to mimic each other was actually my favorite part of the movie.
That's cool.
And
because so often those body change movies, they don't actually change. They're just, you know, like oh shit, what's the one? The parent, the Freaky Friday. Yeah, the Freaky Friday ones. It's always just like, well, now she's the mother's kind of acting like a,
and she dresses silly.
As far as acting like the other person.
Yeah, so it's cool having two accomplished actors being able to do it, because they're really funny in it. And, you know...
No offense to Lindsay Lohan or anything.
Yeah, none at all. But there's some scenes that are just really funny, and I think the movie is really funny, but it has the contrived... The only part I didn't like is, oh, it's so great being this other person, and then they realize that they want to be themselves again.
Yeah, when they have to.
But Alan Arkin is Ryan Reynolds' dad, and he's really funny in it.
Oh, cool.
I wonder if I ruined that. It might be a spoiler. No, but he's in it, and he.
I didn't even know Alan Arkin was in the movie.
Yeah.
They should have advertised that, because that would have made. Oh, I probably still wouldn't have seen it,
but he has actually a really great scene with Jason Bateman, who's Ryan Reynolds' character, because he wants Ryan Reynolds' character, I always forget their name, to go and speak at his wedding. But Ryan Reynolds doesn't want to, because he's a slacker stoner actor in softcore porn. It's really funny. And so he invites Jason Bateman's character to talk to him about if he can get his son to speak at his wedding. And it's actually a really kind of touching scene. And but there's Ryan Reynolds acting as Jason Bateman in the softcore porn for Cinemax is really funny.
My question is, how many running poop jokes were in the movie? Because that was the thing that scared me the most.
Just the one in the trailer you saw where she's pooping.
Yeah, the Thai food.
Yeah, that's the only one. And then, of course, the baby. But the baby at the beginning is pretty funny.
Oh, okay.
Because it's the first time in a movie I've ever seen an animated butthole do this, like pulse, and then shoot in Jason Bateman's face. It's pretty funny. Because there's a little extra part in it that, obviously.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I just know that when I saw the trailer, there was like the poop joke that they ended every trailer with. I was like, yeah, okay, I get it, poop. But then I saw another trailer where there was like a callback to that joke, and I went, oh no, is that a running joke in the movie?
No, it's only that one moment.
Okay, good.
And then actually, I'll tell you, as ended almost kind of sad, because he's obviously Ryan Reynolds at that point. And, he comes in, he's like, you come in me with guns hot? And then the trailer ends. But the last part he says, I'm not even attracted to you anymore. You're like, oh. And then the next scene when Jason Bateman as Ryan Reynolds come in, she's crying. Because, she's like, he's not even attracting me anymore. What am I? It's kind of, so it's a little different, yeah.
Oh, and the way that they switch bodies back, do they have to drink out of the fountain they peed in?
No.
Oh, okay.
They have to pee in it again.
Oh, well, that's shitty. Or do a number 2. That would have been a...
But I guess the statue is some Greek goddess of change or...
yeah, there's one of those.
Something like that. Yeah. I did not know that until I read a story about it.
It's probably a demigod.
Yeah.
All the interesting ones are demigods.
They usually are.
Yeah.
Thor. Anyways, so we're just going to go right into it, unless you have a commercial.
No, I don't.
James, you never have a commercial. But it's okay, we don't need one.
I feel like everything we just talked about was a commercial.
It was. Go see The Change Up. There you go. There's a commercial right there.
Okay. Watch
Who
Top
made
Gear.
that movie? Fox. Give me some money. I held up my hand for those listening, and I did give me some money, and it was brilliant.
Yeah, nothing happened.
Nothing.
There was no
happened,
money,
though.
though.
But that's pretty amazing because I pimped their movie.
Yep.
Anyways, you know what movie we saw? We saw 30 minutes or less. This trailer is way less than 30 minutes.
The thing is, Kate makes some pretty questionable decisions, like moving to Atlanta.
Whatever, why are we talking about my sister?
I don't know.
You want to have sex with my sister, don't you?
Okay, your sister is attractive.
My twin sister? Which is basically like having sex with me?
You remember graduation night?
You were nailing Tina Scotto.
No, I was actually having the best night of my life with your sister.
What? You deflowered my sister? And I know all the details? Ah!
Hello?
Hello, pizza boy.
Oh, it's a great mask. Oh, another one. The missing link. That's very nice.
Get him!
Whoa, 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 yo, dude, just take the pizza.
Oh, man. What do you want?
We got duck.
We have nothing left to say to each other.
Two guys in masks struck me and strapped a bomb to my chest, and now I have less than 9 hours to rob a bank.
You're hysterical. Great joke.
What the? Keep your voice down.
Is that thing real? And your first thought was to come to a school filled with young children?
It's a breeze. Run into a bank with a bomb and take all the money and then leave and then go back to work. Don't make a big deal out of it, all right?
Painting the guns, painting the guns, painting the guns for the bank robbery. Cause we go in with our plastic guns and the cops will shoot us in our faces.
So, yeah.
Time jokes.
Totally, dude. You like how I did that?
Yeah. It's interesting. I feel like, especially our theater was empty. I feel like we saw this movie's not going to win the weekend. I think we saw sort of the underdog for sure.
Oh,
of
yeah,
the week.
for sure.
You know, compared to Glee, a Final
Oh, my
Destination
gosh.
movie, and The Help, no one is going to see this movie.
No. No, I think this movie's
Glee.
not going to do very well.
No.
But it's a shame because it's directed by Ruben Fleischer, who did
Zombieland.
Zombieland and stars Jesse Eisenberg of Zombieland.
And
it has,
Social Network almost won an Oscar last year.
Yeah.
And yet nobody's going to see this.
and this movie, kind of has the same pace of Zombieland, where it's just kind of boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom. And so, yeah, I mean, basically the premise is it starts out as Jesse Eisenberg is a stoner pizza delivery guy. And
I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, his life is going nowhere, and he gets pulled into the situation that he didn't want to be a part of, robbing a bank with a bomb, and you saw that in the trailer.
Yeah. Yeah, he gets a couple of numbskulls strap a bomb to him to make him rob a bank, and then
It all goes horribly wrong.
or right.
Or right.
Some of it goes right.
It does. But yeah, no, I thought the movie was fun. Like, I thought
Yeah.
it was funny, and I really enjoyed, I mean, the opening scene where he delivers to those kids, and they're not going to pay him because he was 30 minutes, it was 34 minutes, and he tricked him into buying beer, and of course he wasn't going to buy him beer, he just takes the money and jets,
Yeah.
which was really funny.
I want to see Ruben Fleischer make like a real car chase movie after
Yeah.
this, because both of the car chases in this movie and the car stuff in in Zombieland is all really good.
Yeah.
You know, especially considering that it's like a junky car. Like he films very realistic feeling driving sequences. So.
I agree, and I think he actually has a really cool eye, and I've said this twice in podcasts, but I love moving camera shots, and then when they're in this one where he swooped up from the left head, why can't I? The front of your car where the lights come out, the headlights.
Headlight.
On the bad guys, it goes from the left and up to the driver, and then when the next scene was Jesse Eisenberg, and it goes from the right up to the driver. I love shots like that where it just plays with it,
Yeah.
because I miss long establishing shots. One of my favorite shots in any movie is in the very first Dracula. This is 1929, 1930, I don't remember. And I expected a really static camera in that movie. The very first shot is a crane following a carriage of a horse all the way down into town, which I thought was really cool. And that's one of my favorite shots in any movie. So I always appreciate shots like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had fun in the movie. James, did you have fun in the movie?
I did, yeah. I thought it was really good. The thing about I made a joke about him being a pizza boy stoner. I like the first time they introduced that, I was like, really, another he's a pizza boy movie. But they play it really well, and Jesse Eisenberg takes that character and makes you like him. So they do a good job with what is sort of a cliched plot element, but
and he's Jesse
good.
Eisenberg's pretty good because in The Social
He is.
Network he was a dick,
yeah.
and in this movie you liked him a lot, even though
People talk about him and Michael Cera being the same person.
not at all.
Stupid.
Yeah.
First of all, but if anything, Jesse Eisenberg is a guy that can do some drastically different stuff from movie to movie.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Michael Cera can't. That Michael Cera plays the same character all the time. He doesn't. But Jesse Eisenberg does a much better job of always feeling very different. This character to me never feels even like the sort of cliched.
No.
Because he got compared to Michael Cera because he did a lot of the sort of awkward, stuttery kind of acting. I don't think he's like that
But
in this
really-
movie at all. Like, there's a couple times where he's a little awkward, but that's because it calls for it. He's not constantly like
But I mean,
that.
really, he's only that awkward, nerdy guy in Zombieland.
And Adventureland.
Adventureland, but not as much as Zombieland, I think.
Probably not.
But I mean, you have like, what am I trying to say? In The Social Network, he's as fast talking. Look how cool I am.
Oh, yeah, well-
I'm smarter than everybody else, and he's nothing like any of his other characters in
No.
movies.
Well, that one really is completely. He's brilliant in that movie.
Yeah. So but yeah, in this movie he's really good. Because you do. I guess I like too that they never explained that. Oh, he had this huge opportunity and he just wasted his life away. No, he just goes about his business because that's what he does. He delivers pizzas. He doesn't have he's a genius and he decided not to do it. He wanted to deliver pizzas because he's flipping off the world or something. And
Yeah. And Aziz Ansari is the other guy who's great.
yeah, he's always
He's
pretty
really
funny.
Yeah. I was sad to see that great joke in the trailer where he's painting the gun and singing a song about how they're going to get shot in the face. I was sad that was the whole shot.
Yeah, me
like
too.
that there wasn't more of that song because that was the thing that.
I already improvised that though.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I would assume so because it's it played really well.
Actually, my favorite moment with him was his introduction in the movie, where he's sitting in the passenger seat and his eyes are just wide. And you're like, what the
Yeah.
hell is he doing?
Yes.
And he's getting a blowjob
Oh, I forgot.
out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was weird.
With Jesse
That
Eisenberg
whole
just looking at him
scene was
drinking
just weird.
beer.
Yeah.
His eyes were. Oh, it was hilarious.
Yeah, it's a good movie. And Danny McBride and Nick Swartzen play the sort of bad guys who have a ridiculous. They're insane characters because their plan is convoluted and stupid.
Yep.
It has it doesn't in any way make logical sense as to what they're doing. It was good. I liked it. It's the same problem that you guys had as far as
Horrible
talking
bosses.
about comedies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
But-
like, well,
So
you
you
can't-
just pick the parts you like. I also like the Mexican hitman.
he was great.
Yeah, his
This has been a great year for pimps.
his what did he call it? My impatient face was
Yes.
just hilarious.
He just closed his eyes.
He just closed his
his eyes and
eyes.
had no expression,
Yeah.
and that was his impatient face.
It was really fun.
That was great.
And
what
his-
was his name?
What was his name in that movie?
I don't know.
Well, I think it's Michael Pena as his
Yeah, Michael Pena as Chango.
Chango.
It's the name of the character. Oh yeah, no, he steals every scene he's in.
And
It's really great.
It is funny, and I love the little.
The scene in the bathroom where he's talking about how his mom told him he was a pimp.
Yeah.
that was great. Oh,
With I love when Jesse Eisenberg and Aziz and how do you say his name?
Aziz Ansari.
Aziz, yeah. Where he's talking about, "Do you see how I turned that gun sideways when I was holding it?"
Oh, when spoilers, at some point there is actually a bank robbery scene. Great,
Yeah.
really great. Some really imaginative stuff. The thing with the gun, the thing with Sandra, that
Yeah.
whole little joke. We're not friends anymore. It was great. It was really creative, and it's not like. I don't think at the end of the year I'm going to call it the best comedy of the year. It's not a lot of jokes per minute if you wanted to examine it that way.
But I think it's more of the performance of the actors.
Oh yeah. I think it's a well told, fun story that It's just good. The interesting thing is that it's based on a true story.
Really?
Yes, in which the guy strapped with the bomb blew up. It comes. I think by based on like the guy who wrote it read the article about this sort of thing happening and the guy dying, and then was like, "Oh, well, you could make a comedy out of that," I guess. But yeah, the original story, the guy dies.
Oh, sad.
Yeah, no, it's horrible.
But yeah, I guess you find inspiration in the weirdest places.
You do, yeah. But every now and then I would be reminded of that during the movie and go, "This is weird."
Yeah, I'm watching that movie too. Going back to the trailer you mentioned with Nick Swartzen, I think if he's a supporting character, he's probably works better.
Oh yeah,
because I don't know, because even in Grandma's Boy, I like him in that because he's like a man-child.
Or in the Benchwarmers.
In the Benchwarmers, he kind of just, if he stays in the background every once in a while, Reno 911.
Because he's so big, he plays everything very, very broad, and so if he's the main character, I don't think it'll work as well.
I liked his karate kicks too.
Oh yeah, show him the kicks. That was great.
Oh, I have to say that they gave a shout out to one of my favorite film series. Friday the 13th was in it.
They did.
And they were raping Jason, basically. Watching it in 3D. Friday the 13th Part 3 is mentioned in it.
Oh. Yeah. In 3D. With like, Friday the 13th
they come with
glasses.
If you buy the deluxe version of Friday the 13th 3, those come with it.
Is it in 3D? You can get
it. Is.
You can get it still in. Oh, because it's not. It's red and green 3D, so you can just watch it.
Exactly. I only own it in. I don't have the 3D glasses, but I own a version of it, and I miss that kind of 3D because literally, I was reading an interview with the guy who did it, and he still goes. People still go to him for 3D because back then, they didn't have the computer stuff where you could just make it come at you.
Yeah.
And so he was talking about that what he had to do is there's a part in Friday the 13th Part 3 where this dude literally holds up a eyeball and holds it to the screen. And what they have to do is they light it super bright behind him. And so that's super bright, and then when it comes in, it's darker, so that element that comes at you stands out because it's so bright behind there. And he said it was really hard for him to make that movie because Friday the 13th takes place at night, and so he'd have to find tricks. Because he went from Jaws 3D to Friday the 13th 3D.
Jaws 3D,
which I think Jaws 3D was one of the most expensive movies made at that time.
Yeah,
so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, Jaws 3D.
Yeah.
Oh man, that movie is not good. Have you seen it?
Yes.
Oh, Bill Paxton.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dennis Quaid.
Oh no, yeah, not Bill Paxton. Dennis Quaid. Yeah. That it's a shame because I'm even one of those guys that I kind of like Jaws 2.
Yeah, Jaws 2 is alright. I like Roscheider. So
yeah,
he's dead.
Well, yeah,
that's sad. He's a good actor.
So is Robert Shaw.
But
he was an alcoholic.
He was.
This is completely off topic, but there was a story Steven Spielberg told recently about. This is not a good story. I shouldn't repeat the story, but the first day of shooting on Jaws was the Show Me the Way to Go Home, Indianapolis.
Scene. Yeah, I heard that interview too.
And he
showed up inebriated.
Yes, well, because they're supposed to be drunk, and Robert Shaw was sort of notorious for being an alcoholic. So he said, like, "Hey, do you mind if I have a couple drinks first? Because in that way, it'd be more like I'm really drunk." Well, then he just got really drunk, and the day was kind of a wash. Like I think they sent him home halfway through the day, and they got a few more shots, but not a lot. The first in a notoriously cursed shooting for Jaws, and he called Steven Spielberg the next day and asked if he embarrassed Steven. He wasn't concerned about himself and what he made himself look like. He was just concerned that he embarrassed Steven and made things bad for him.
Which they're already kind of
is a half sad, half kind of touching story.
It is.
I miss Robert Shaw. Anyway,
but back to 30 Minutes or Less.
30 Minutes or Less is a good movie.
It is a good movie.
Yeah.
And too bad it's. I mean, we're one of 8 people in that theater.
Yeah.
So I don't know but you know what? It's the same thing. I think what you said about Scott Pilgrim is, they'll make more movies. Those guys will make more movies, and I think this movie
that's true. It's not a movie that's going to hurt anybody.
No, I think it's a movie that actually will probably get a big cult following when it comes out on video.
Yeah, it'll make its money back on DVD. I don't know how much it costs, but it probably wasn't much. That's the nice thing about comedies. I mean, this movie's got a couple of like CG shots in it, but it's certainly doesn't look like it's expensive.
Not at all. I mean, they had
So yeah, it'll make its money back on DVD. No, there's no budget on Box Office Mojo. So it'll do fine. Yeah, and like you said, nobody's gonna suffer from this movie
because it's fun, and you actually, if you watch it, there's some really good performances in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's, and the movie's really short. Like, I was surprised how fast it went by. Like an hour and 20 minutes, basically.
But it doesn't feel like when it was done and we got out of there. Yeah, it was.
Well, I mean,
really
they
short,
told the story.
Didn't feel, yeah, it felt like there was a lot of stuff happening, and they did it. Yeah, I mean, compared to everything else that's out this weekend, I think it's. Well, I would like to see The Help, but
Help's not technically this weekend since it opened on Wednesday.
This is true. It opened on Wednesday. So
you can go see that with my wife.
Compared to Final Destination and Glee 3D, the movie where there's no story. There's no question. Go see this movie.
Yes, go see 30 minutes or less because it's funny. And you get to see them say, I'm going to fuck Jason in his hockey hole, which is, and they're actually up there mimicking fucking Jason while Jason is in a barn looking for people to kill. Which is really funny.
It wouldn't even make, like, if they were standing up there even with the 3D glasses on, it wouldn't look like Jason was in front of them. He's not a hologram. Those guys are insane.
They are.
All right.
And their plan does it work or does it not? Who knows? You'll have to go see 30 minutes or less.
I mean, it's a movie, so you kind of know how it ends. Maybe you don't.
Maybe you don't know how it ends.
Stay through the credits.
Stay through the credits.
But you should always stay through the credits.
You should. So yeah, sorry our review this week isn't very long. It's just it's hard to describe a comedy without ruining all the big set pieces. Yeah. And just know that the movie's fun and you should go see it this weekend because everything else is shit.
Indeed.
So next week we're probably seeing Conan the Barbarian. Would be my guess.
Yeah, unless you want to see Fright Night. But
I do want to see Fright Night, like I said before, because it's written by Marty Noxon, who wrote Buffy episodes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I want to see it, but you know what? Maybe we'll put up another poll, and we'll put the right movies up this week. And people who listen to the show can go on to our Facebook page and vote for it, and we will see the movie you vote for. A lot like this week. Because you wanted to see 30 minutes or less. We saw 30 minutes or less.
And I'm glad we did.
I'm glad we did.
One Day comes out next week.
Oh, I will not see that movie because I already saw it in the trailer.
We might see that because there's lots of romance and there's pretty people who have sex and then complain about it.
Yeah, but it's PG-13 sex.
I'm suddenly learning that joke about friends with benefits kind of works with every romance movie lately.
Yep.
Anyway, so we'll figure out what we're going to watch next week.
Yeah. So until then, I'm Ryan, and next to me is
James.
And thank you so much for listening. And you can follow us on realnerds.tumblr.com. You can send us emails, realnerds@gmail.com. You can also like us on Facebook, Real Nerds Podcast. So yeah, make sure you hit us up, send us comments, and thank you for voting for which movie we should see. We will be putting up that this week so you can decide for us again because we don't like making decisions.
And send us an email, especially this week. Make Brad feel better.
Yeah. Brad, feel better because, the show's, it's empty without you. There's a chair next to me. It's empty. Yeah. That's Brad's chair.
I'm not going to sit in that chair. I saw Sierra fall over in that chair once. I'm afraid of that chair.
Who just fell? Oh, actually, Laura sat in it. She's like, I broke it again. I said, again? And I guess evidently it's held together by duct tape.
That's why I don't sit in that chair. Fat kids don't sit in those chairs.
No. That's why me and James are sitting on my couch.
Yep.
Not next to each other. There's a space
next to each other.
There's a space in between. It's not like he's holding me, so.
Yeah. All right. Let's get out of here.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.